Hello everyone, it's Diane, and I am going to show you a Christmas journal today. This is called Santa Claus in Santaland, and it's made with a vintage book. It was claimed immediately when I showed it in one of my flea market hauls earlier this summer, I believe. I don't even remember when I got it, but I've been holding on to it for my customer. It has to go all the way to Asia. So I had to get this one done, and so she can get it and I can get it in the mail so she can get it in time. So let's just go through it. This one, because it's a red cover and it's called Santa Claus in Santaland, it is a traditional red and green Santa Claus book, and it's got some retro vintage vibe to it. I tied it with two pieces of tulle, red and green. There was a spot on the cover here, so I covered it with a gold star and then just sprinkled a few more stars. I added some metal book corners. I used this really pretty red and green and gold striped fabric on the spine, and then just added this for a decorative touch and some of this French braid. Is it French braid? Whatever that is. It's there. There are pom-poms along the bottom. There are velvet tabs and jingle bells on the sides. This is just a Christmas journal. It screams Christmas. So let's just go inside and see. This is the original end paper. And I added this little stamped image that my customer can write her name. I just trimmed the edge here with green rickrack. This is vintage. I used authentic paper. Let me get the name of it for you. Vintage Christmas from Authentique, and it is so cute. And I also used Tsunami Rose's Christmas list. That's the kit I bought last year. I didn't want to buy another kit, so I used hers, and I really like it, so it went well with what I did here. So this is part of the Authentique paper, and this is also, these are part of the cut apart pages. And I used some of the plaid sheets from Paper Studio. This is an 8.5 by 11 plaid pad that I just got this year, so they probably still have it there. Plaid tidings. And this is vintage trim here. I used some sprays through a stencil. I used my paper punch to punch out some images that were at the top of the pages in a Norman Rockwell Christmas book. So I used some of them. This is an image from this actual book. I glued it to craft cardstock, and this is from another book, and I stitched it to coffee dyed paper. There is some coffee dyed scrapbook paper in here also. And I use my old Christmas stamps. I haven't bought new Christmas stamps in years. I just keep using the ones I have. There's some small red pom-poms on this page. And here is the green velvet ribbon with trim and a red bulb pin and a vintage jingle bell. The bells came from a lady, you may have seen the video where I did a haul from a rummage sale, a garage sale, where she was selling all her craft supplies, and they were vintage. The packages were vintage, so I know that the bells are vintage. And a little bit later I'm going to show you some vintage glitter packages that I got from her too. This is just from an old children's book. This is the Tsunami Rose paper. Here is from a vintage table cover. I had cut apart the images, but I set aside the sleigh image because I thought they would be great for Christmas journals. And then again, a piece of braid trim. This is from an old children's book that I had gotten very recently. Santa's Busy Day. You probably saw that if you watch my haul videos. Here it is. And it is such a cute book, but it's double pages because it's interactive, and so it has 2 layers of pages. It had, let's see, at least 6 of the reindeer. I don't know if there were more. but at least 6 of the reindeer were here in the book. And I used some of them in this journal that I'm showing you. But this was such a fun little book, and I did get to use some of it here. So here's one of the reindeer. Of course, they were very floppy and old, so I backed it with craft cardstock. So you can journal on the back here. And I made him a little plaid pocket with some red velvet ribbon and a little green bow. And this is just a vintage sticker. There's another stamp there. This is the Tsunami Rose paper. I did some stenciling. This is from a book that you were supposed to keep your Christmas memories in. So here says favorite Christmas card. And it was to be used year after year after year. So it had a lot of pages that were the same because you were supposed to use them each year. This is for a list of visitors at Christmas time. This page right here in the center is from this book. And on the writing, on the text, I just glued on this Christmas sweater from a little pad that I had gotten at the Salvation Army. I put a green envelope in the center. Uh-oh. I'll have to work on that. Let me see. It's not that. What is it stuck on? There we go. She wanted to make sure I included the portion that had the date of the book. So I cut this out. It's 1943. And I just tucked it in this pocket. This is a sheet of flashcards, Christmas flashcards, and I can't remember what digital company that was from. It's an Etsy store. This is just a gift tag that I got last year on clearance. I just thought they were so cute, and I knew I would want to put them in journals this year. And a Santa Claus Coca-Cola playing card. So here's the image from the book, Santa and his reindeer. And on this side, I just glued down this very vintage applique. I thought it was real pretty. There's another piece of fabric. This was just sent to me recently. I believe it was from Pierrette. Some vintage trim and just a couple places to journal. This came from my friend Leslie's shop, Vintage Paper Emporium. And I had bought a little baggie of Christmas embellishments, and this was in it. And this is just a vintage gift tag, and this is also a vintage gift tag. Maybe it's not vintage. I got it at flea market in a bunch of stuff, but this one is vintage. This is from Tsunami Rose. I just fussy cut that out and glued it on, and this is just a gift sticker. Another stamped image that I cut out and glued on so you can write on it. One of my old Stampin' Up! Stamps. Again, it's the other side of the page with the red pom-pom. This one just has a glassine bag and a little, it was a sheet of papers that you could cut out, designs you cut out, and I think it was for decoupage. Somebody sent it to me, and it has a lot of cute vintagey looking Christmas images. So I glued that on there, and I made this little tag, and it's one of those Norman Rockwell circles that I punched out. And then this one is from a December issue of a Jack and Jill magazine for kids, vintage. I didn't look to see if there was a year on it, but I just tucked it in there. Here is a vintage greeting card. See, there's a little puppy here, and it matches this puppy here. He's looking at himself in the ornament. It's just so cute. But it's kind of small for that, and it moves around, so I just stuck a paper clip on it to hold it. This is a piece of a very vintage linen that had a lot of designs that I cut out, and I sewed it to or I glued it to craft cardstock and then sewed it on. And it has a couple of tags inside. This is from the Authentique collection. I love it. I used some of my green lace on the edge. This is, I think this paper is from Authentique. It's a bunch of letters to Santa. I wonder what was in there. Whatever was in there, I didn't put it back after I sewed the whole book together, so I'll have to put something in there. This is a recipe card, a Christmas recipe card from Current. There's another of my old Stampin' Up! Stamps. This is from an ABC Christmas book. The pictures in that were so cute. Someone sent me this. I believe it's, I forgot the name, but it's a really cool Santa Claus bag. And I only have one, so I put it in the middle signature. And this is part of the Authentique collection. Here's an old vintage, well that was redundant, old and vintage, a Christmas towel. Look at the neat texture on that towel. It's not terry cloth, but it's nubby. I love that towel. And then there's a piece of vintage eyelet and some grosgrain ribbon. And places to journal there. This is a printable. I just glued it on as a little tuck spot, and then this is a tally card. Poinsettia tally card. This one has the vintage pom-pom, again from the lady who was selling all of her craft supplies. And again, a piece of the green ribbon and a jingle bell. There's Dasher. Vintage trim here. Stamp that I cut out and glued on there, and just a couple journaling spots. This is from a Saturday Evening Post Christmas issue. So I put that in the middle, and this is from, again, this is from stationery from the United States Post Office that I got at the Goodwill a few years ago, and I'm still using it up. And I have sealed this shut pretty good. There is something inside the envelope. When will I learn to be patient and let things dry? Well, I will have to work on that. Let me try one more thing without tearing it. Nope, okay, I'll have to work on that. There's a tuck spot here. I didn't put anything in there. I'll have to add something. This is a piece of fabric that was sent to me. I believe that was from Pirette also. And on this flip is a gift tag that is not vintage and a tally card. And this is also in that kit little bag of ephemera that I got from, or embellishments that I got from Leslie. It's the other side of that bag, and this came out of a book. Here's another glassine bag. This has a song from a songbook, and I sewed it to some vintage lined paper. And inside, I attempted to make some shaker cards because I got some vintage. This is what I wanted to show you. My very vintage glitter and things like that. These are actually made from aluminum. I believe that it's plastic now. So that's how old they are. Plus they were 29 cents for these good-sized tubes of it. Non-tarnishing aluminum. And I have it in a lot of colors because I got a box full of it from that lady for like $2. And I believe this came in that box too. So I used some of the things from this and some of the glitter and made a little shaker card with the transparencies that I got at the Salvation Army this week. This is a vintage postcard, Christmas postcard. It came in a little pad of postcards with several different designs. I used this gold ribbon as a belly band. I sewed it to some cardstock, punched out a craft circle, and then this is one of the cut aparts from the Authentique paper. This is also from Authentique, and I just think it's so adorable. And this has a vintage card inside. I love the size and shape of this little card. You can open it right up and do a lot of journaling on it. And it has the envelope. I just think this is adorable. Some red trim. And there's another circle that I punched out. I love this paper with all the Santa Claus faces on it. A couple of Coca-Cola cards. And another jingle bell. There's some fabric here, some fancy rickrack there, and here we have Dancer. And there's a velvet ribbon and a little bow. A couple of tags that I made with my tag punch. Some gingerbread boys are stamped up there. There's another page from that Santa Claus book, Santa's Busy Day. I said that the pages were doubled, and when I cut it to fit the size, it came open like that. So I left this open so it gives you more journaling space, and this side was still partly glued, so I just sewed around that. But this page, you do get to open it up and journal. Let's see if I did it to this one too. Oh, I just finished doing this stuff before I did the video because I had just sewn the book together. Well, there are journaling cards inside of each of the envelopes, so I will make sure I get them open. This is one of the Norman Rockwell Santa Claus cards, playing cards. A beautiful piece of Christmas fabric and some velvet ribbon and some green lace. This is a piece of vintage gift wrap, and I sewed it to some coffee dyed paper. There's another shaker tag in there. And another piece of ribbon as a belly band. This is a reproduction postcard, I'm pretty sure. And then I took this vintage Season's Greetings gift tag. It came 4 in a pack. It was Hallmark, and it was 29 cents, I think. This is the packaging that it came in, or 35 cents. So I don't know how old that makes it, but it's pretty old. And I just stamped my signature stamp in there and then signed it. Okay, so there is Santa Claus in Santaland. Whoops, knocking things over. When I come back from my little vacation, I will really get into Christmas journals. I've got to get some of them made. I know some of you have ordered some, requested some, so I will be getting into them when I get back from my little vacation. So thank you for watching, and I don't know if I'll be back on again before I go away. I may. Have a great day. Bye-bye.